Hi everyone, it's James here from the Studio Rats. Now, I can't believe it was 2009 when Avid released that orange box down there, the 11 Rack. And quite frankly, I've been in love with the thing ever since. And in recent years, it's been a kind of labour of love to keep the thing alive, because at some point, like all electronics, it is going to give up the ghost. When the team at HeadRush bought the IP from Avid / M Audio, whoever it was at the time, to bring the 11 Rack kind of ethos, if you like, up to date, I was very excited. I bought myself an MX5, and although Paul wasn't a fan, I really liked it because I could load all the patches from my 11 Rack straight into the HeadRush MX5. In fact, it could have been any of the HeadRush family. Now, I'm very excited that the team at In Music Brands have also purchased Revalver, and in the new version, version 5 if you will, they've incorporated a lot of the HeadRush technology, a lot of the Avid 11 Rack technology into the latest version of Revalver, and I'd like to take you through some of my highlights, if you like, of the new version 5 of Revalver. This is not going to be every single feature, every single pedal, every single nuance of this amp sim, because quite frankly, we'd be here till next Friday. What this is going to be is a kind of love letter almost to the 11 Rack. I'm going to try and recreate some of my original 11 Rack patches. They won't be exactly the same because there's more functionality in the new version of Revalver. And quite frankly, I don't want them to be the same because I still have a kind of a place in my heart for that burnt copper, as I think Avid called it, 2U rack down there. But what I've done, you've heard a lot of them already in the track, but what I want to do is take you through some of the best bits, some of my favourite bits. I'll show you some of the cool technology that In Music have brought into the latest version of Revalver. But this for me is all about the sound and how this thing plays and how it sounds, how it feels as an amp sim. Once again, I think it's fair to say the presets are not this thing's strongest suit. I think when you strip it back and then slowly begin to add elements of stomp boxes, effects, amp, cab emulation, then this thing becomes really powerful. So what we'll also do is build a patch up from scratch, which I think is where this thing really, really scores. So this is one of the amp heads that was pulled over from the 11 Rack update, the MS-30. Quite frankly, the first time I played this emulation, I'd never played a real matchless. But for me, this does one sound really, really well, and it's this one. I love this thing. It's very simple. We'll take a tour of the GUI in a minute, but I love the way this thing sounds. So until recently, Revalver was a Peavey product, so a lot, if not all, of the Peavey amps are built in here. And the 6505, well, we all know what it wanted to be, don't we? It sounds amazing. Very, very cool. There's a lot of gain there. It needs a lot of control, but I love it. Again, one of the HeadRush amps that was ported over, the JCM 800 style amp. This thing sounds amazing. It does a lot of those kind of really ampy things, I suppose is the right term. It kind of breaks up and feeds back and does all that kind of nice amp type stuff without having to cart around a whole ton of amps, which is, quite frankly, really handy. However, let's dive into this thing, build a patch up from scratch, and yes, I do indeed want to get rid of everything. I'll take you around the GUI and we'll dive right in. So primarily, we have 5 effects blocks, if you like. We have an input stage, an output stage, our stomps, our amp and cab emulation, and our master effects. Now, along with the built-in amps and cabs, of which there are a great many, you can see HR indicates this was pulled over from HeadRush. There are an absolute boatload in here. SuperDrive V20. I happen to have one of those, so let's use that as our starting point. And you can see here it gives me a combo, 1x12 combo, an SM7 mic. Now, for some reason, the cab emulations always start with the microphone on or very near to the dust cap, which we know is not the most natural place in the world for the speaker to sound nice. So let's move that over and have a quick play, see what we've got. Let's boost the top end a bit. Are we in, which channel are we in? We're in the rhythm channel, right? Let's keep that like that. Yeah, the thick's on. Let's bring that up a little bit, bring the drive up. Yep, not bad. Let's cycle through some of these cabinets. I kind of always end up going back to a 1968 cabinet. I really like it. Now we can take some of that bass out. Let's pull quite a lot of the bass out. We have microphones, as you could expect. Again, far too close to the cone for my liking. Lovely, I like that. There's other elements of the speaker we can tweak down here. We've got filters. Let's pull a little bit of the low end out. There's also an ambience mode, which is quite nice. Very, very small amount of that. Gives it a bit of a room feel. I really, really like that. So let's dive into some stomp boxes. And as you can imagine, there are a lot to choose from. Some of the ones, again, have been pulled over from the 11 rack. I really like that. There's also quite a bit of new stuff and things that I'm not familiar with. The Buddha stuff, obviously, again, previously being a Peavey brand. Let's have a dive through here. We've got a gate. Let's go for the grey compressor. I know what that's going to do. Level down a little bit on that. Lovely. Okay, let's put another one in there. Let's have something overdrivey. Let's go for a Buddha overdrive. Bring the level down a bit. Now, to me, that sounds a little bit like we're hitting a compressor. There isn't actually a compressor in the loop right now. I think it's a kind of just a master catch-all right at the very end, and we can get around that by going into the output section and just bringing down the master output a little bit. We'll come back to this section in a minute. I promise it's well worth it. So we've got our amp, we've got our stomp boxes. Let's go to the master effects now. And again, there's plenty to choose from. And one of the nice things is you can bring in your third-party VSTs if you wish. I'm not going to do that. What I am going to do is use some air delay. There's quite a lot going on there. Don't need much of that. Let's sync it with the session because we can. Let's go into... Bring the mix back in further. There's a graphic in there. Let's have some of that because we can, and roll off some of that bottom end. Cool. And a little bit of reverb on there. Let's have some reverb 1. Again, ported over from All Things Avid. Okay, cool. Happy with that so far. Let's go over to the input section now. And you can see we've got 4 main modules. We have our VU meters, our input. Now, even though we're getting a decent level up here on the input meter in the main GUI, not really showing much here. And I find if you push too much here, you just push the input into the amp a bit too hard. Now, we do have a noise suppressor, which is very useful, or a gate at least. Let's pull that down a little bit further. Get rid of some of that nasty background noise. Very, very helpful. Really cool tuner. And this ACT module. Now, ACT stands for Audio Cloning Technology. And there's 2 modules of ACT inside Revalver 5. Now, the one at the input section is a way to model your guitar, or basically capture the tone of your guitar and apply different guitar tones over the top of your existing guitar. Let me explain. We're going to capture a new profile. I'm going to play some notes. Let's call it Black Strat 2. And now we can basically mimic the sound of, this is kind of primarily developed for acoustic guitars, over the top of the sound of my Strat. However, what we can do is if we go into here, let's go bridge pickup. And here we have a well-known electric guitar style. So here's without. And here's with. Just the Strat. And the PR24. So a really handy way, if you don't have a guitar with humbuckers, to get a guitar with humbuckers. And of course, you can blend the 2 together if you wish. Let's go out there. Really, really cool. I'll turn that off just for now. So we've got our stomp boxes, our amps and cabs, and our master effects. Now, one of the limitations with the original 11 rack was you could only ever have 1 amp, 1 cab, and a certain number of effects. I think it was 6 in one go. However, that's 14-year-old technology now. And with modern computers, we can keep stacking it up and racking it up and all that sort of stuff. So what we've got in Revalver version 5 is 2 paths. Basically, you can have stereo amps. So if you want slight variation of settings from your left to your right, or if you want completely different amp cab combinations, you can do, which is really, really handy. Now let's dive to the output section now. We have a panning section where we can pan the different chains, the A and B chain. We have a master EQ. Yes, I am bypassing this one for a minute. We have a master EQ, which is currently not on. We have a master compressor, again, currently not on, and our master output level, where we can control the outputs going to our DAW in this case. I should, of course, say that we're currently running Revalver version 5 inside Pro Tools, but there is a standalone version, and you do get some extra goodies inside the standalone version, like MIDI control and rig control, things like that for live playing. But where this thing becomes really, really up to date is with the ACT profiling section. And we all know where this is going, right? Yes, Revalver version 5 allows us to clone our amps and cabs, which is very, very cool. In much the same sort of way we do with Tone X or HeadRush Prime or with Kemper or with Quad Cortex. Similar principle. I'm not going to go through it now because, quite frankly, I haven't mastered it and I haven't got it all set up to do that right now. But it's based on the HeadRush Prime principle, and it is very, very good. The captures are really excellent. I'm not one for a serious deep dive tweak. However, those of you who are familiar with previous versions of Revalver might be the sort of people who go into tone stacks and start really deep diving into stuff and all that sort of thing. We can go in with a double tap on the amp module and go in and tweak a schematic. Now, I'm looking at this thing going, I don't know entirely what that means. But those of you electronics heads out there who like that sort of thing can go in there and really start messing with the actual circuit of the amp, which is very, very cool. The same is possible in the cabinets, which is very, very cool. Again, it's not my world. It's not the sort of thing I like to do. But it's very, very cool to be able to have that controllability, that tweakability. I don't know of any other amp sim software that really allows you to get that down and dirty, down into the nitty-gritty of the amps and the cabs. It's very, very powerful and very, very cool. So there you go. There's a quick overview of all things Revalver version 5. Thanks to the team at InMusic Brands who are sponsoring this video. But for now, my name's James Ivey from the Studio Rats. Please do like, subscribe, hit that bell, all the stuff we ask you to do, and I'll see you again very, very soon.